everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing my top 5 tips for pregnant moms to prepare their postpartum support system ahead of time. For those who don't know me, my name is Sophie and I'm a pelvic health physiotherapist specialized in maternity care. And through my online coaching program, I support moms-to-be from all over the world to prepare their pelvis and pelvic floor for an easy delivery and postpartum recovery. So if that's something you're into, I invite you to apply on a free discovery call with me in the description below so we can see if we're a fit to work together. Coming home with a brand new baby after birth, especially when it's your first one, is a lot of work and a steep learning curve. It can feel super overwhelming if you're not prepared for it. I'm talking from experience, and I feel like I was quite prepared for it. So I feel like the thing that will make the biggest difference in how smooth this journey is for you is your support system. And that's something you can start planning right now, right? During your pregnancy. Because right now you have more time in your hands and you feel somewhat rested. So it's the best time to start thinking about that. So here are 5 things you can start planning right now for your postpartum support. Number 1 is planning time off for partner or family members. I strongly recommend for new moms to have full-time support at home for at least 4 to 6 weeks after birth, if that's an option for your family. You can discuss with your partner and your family members, what it could look like for you. Sometimes the partner can take a few weeks off right after birth and then, a family member takes over after that. Or maybe your partner has more flexibility in taking time off for a longer period of time. That's something you guys can discuss. Now, you might be surprised, 4 to 6 weeks, it seems like such a long time. Why would I need full-time support for that long? Because a newborn feeds on average every 2 to 4 hours. And if you're strictly breastfeeding, that means that all the night duties will be on you, mama. And that is very, very hard. I know, I've done it, and that was really challenging. And I know a lot of babies have their last feed of the night between 5:30 and 7. So it's really, really nice to pass on the baby to your partner or family member after that feed so you can get a few hours of extra sleep before starting your day. You may have heard that you can just sleep when the baby sleeps during the day, but believe me, it's not that easy. First, not everybody has the ability to fall asleep during the day whenever they want, right? I know for myself that I could not fall asleep during the day, especially that my baby was napping only, 30 to 40 minutes at a time at the beginning, and that was simply not enough time for me to fall asleep and get a good nap out of it. So my morning sleep was super, super precious, and I missed it so much when all of the support was gone. And even if you're sharing night duties with your partner because, say, baby is bottle feeding, then in that case, both of you will be tired, right? So good luck for your partner going to work after being up all night. So I think they would certainly appreciate being off work if they are to help with night duties. If I had to have another baby, I would even plan for my partner to take 3 months off after the baby is born. Because to be quite honest with you, I was 7 weeks postpartum when my parents left and my partner was fully back at work. And I remember that day I just crashed in tears. I thought to myself, how am I going to take care of my baby when I can barely take care of myself because I'm so exhausted? And I even remember my partner having to call in sick a few times in that period of time because I just could not go through the day, right? I could not take care of my baby. I was an emotional mess. I was not functional, just so tired. So anyways, if that is available to you, do yourself a favor and plan on full-time support for as long as you can, 4 to 6 weeks minimum. Here in Canada, many partners can have a few months of parental leave through their work, so use that time smartly. And every time I hear someone saying, my partner is going to take 2 weeks off after birth and then, we will take the rest later so we can go traveling with the baby. I'm always tell, because that's a common story, by the way. A lot of people plan around that. And I'm always telling them to reconsider this plan because you'll need that help right after birth, not after 5 to 6 months. And yes, I can appreciate travel plans and, wanting to have good times as a family during your parental leave, but I think you will much more appreciate having more support after the baby is born. Number 2 is plan a meal train. What is a meal train? It's when people drop off meals at your place every day for a certain period of time to take some load off your shoulders. I recommend having a meal train for at least 2 weeks after bringing baby home, but it could even be longer if you have a big network of friends and they're all gung-ho about helping you. And setting up a meal train is super easy, by the way. You can do it for free on mealtrain.com. So you'll write all the details like your address, food allergies, when and how to drop the meal off. And then you can send the link to your friends and family members after you give birth, and then they can start signing up. So I made a video about how I set up my meal train before I gave birth with, all the details I wrote in it. So I'll link the video in the description below if you're interested in that. Number 3 is planning pet care. Planning on who is going to take care of your furry friends while you're recovering from birth would be a super smart idea. Now, it all depends on the type of pet you have at home and how much care they need, right? If you have just like a house cat that only requires being fed once a day, that's one thing. I think you can definitely handle that. But in our case, we had Duke, a 12-year-old husky who simply needed like a mellow walk every day, and Timber, a highly energetic border collie who needed daily high-intensity exercise as well as social and brain stimulation once in a while. So what we did was to ask a family member to take them to their place for a few days after giving birth, just so we could have a bit of time to adjust with the little one at home before having our pets with us. We didn't know how the pets would adjust to having a baby in the house, right? So we wanted to just kind of leave ourselves a bit of space before doing that transition. Then our dogs came back home and they honestly adjusted so well to the baby, and we were never concerned about baby safety in presence of our dogs, which was such a relief. To make sure the dog's exercise needs were still met while we were adjusting to our new family life, we put a note in our meal train that if someone was to come and drop a meal off, our furry friends would appreciate a walk if they had time. So we had a few friends who took them out for a mountain bike ride or some hikes, which was so awesome. And we also had a friend who lived 2 blocks away from our house and had a young puppy who loved playing with Timber. So she was often dropping her off in our yard, and Timber would get to play with her for hours. This was like such a lifesaver so many times. So I highly recommend, if you have a high energy puppy who needs playtime, like just find another dog in your neighborhood in a fully fenced yard, and they can, just play for hours, and then you don't have to like exercise them. We were also paying for a weekly dog walker for Timber, just so we could guarantee a longer walk and social time once a week. And honestly, this is such a fantastic service we have here in Whitehorse. It's called Foxtrot Adventures, and they pick up your dog from your place, take them on a group walk with other dogs, and bring them back to your place after. The best thing ever, and so worth paying for. But if you don't have the chance to have a service like Foxtrot in your area, you can maybe find a dog lover friend or a neighbor or a teenager nearby who can walk your dog for you. Don't forget that you'll be recovering from birth, right? Regardless if it's a vaginal birth or a C-section, and your body will need some time to rest. In my online coaching program, I teach postpartum moms all the do's and don'ts to optimize their recovery, and walking for long periods of time after birth is definitely a no-go. And by the way, if you feel nervous about your recovery and how to go about reintroducing your activities postpartum, make sure you book a discovery call with me in the description below, because that's right down my alley. Tip number 4 is house cleaner. Now, this tip may or may not speak to you. take the advice if you recognize yourself, or skip ahead if you don't. But if I speak for myself, I really like my house to be clean and tidy, and it's part of my mental health balance, honestly. When things are unorganized, all over the place, dirty, I don't function well. I become irritable, and I'm not a nice person to live with as my partner. And when I was pregnant, I knew that about myself, so that is why I hired a house cleaner during my pregnancy to start training her ahead of time. So she could just get used to what my priorities are in the house, where the cleaning material is, like just get into a routine and a groove together. And I totally loved it during my pregnancy, by the way, especially in my 3rd trimester, because cleaning the house with a big bump was not that easy. So I really enjoyed the help in that regard. Postpartum, she was coming every 3 to 4 weeks, and it was such a game changer to not constantly think, we should clean the bathroom or we should vacuum the floors, because I knew she was going to come soon and I could just relax, sit back and not think about it. Now, maybe your partner is super keen to clean the house and being on top of it, or maybe your mom lives nearby and she'll happily come and do it for you. I know that if my mom was living here, she would be all about coming in and, cleaning my house and doing my fridge and my cupboards and all of that. But she's not here, and I hate to be constantly asking my partner about this kind of stuff. It's just something that I want to keep out of our relationship because it's so not worth our energy. So anyways, think about it. Is this something that would make you feel more at peace in this season of your life, or can you let go of it and be okay with that? Food for thought. And number 5 is find your postpartum local resources. I would highly recommend you start making a list of the resources available to you for postpartum support, just so you know who to call if you're struggling with breastfeeding, mental health, pelvic health, medical concerns for yourself or for your baby. Also, starting to look into postpartum groups that you might be interested in joining, whether it is a fitness group or parent support group. A lot of communities have moms and babies lunch hour meetups where you can get a free meal while socializing with other moms. And believe me, free meals when you're postpartum is such a blessing because cooking and getting some food in can be really challenging. So I always loved any opportunity to get a free lunch. And I would recommend doing that even if you think of yourself as someone who would not be into these kind of groups. I was one of them. Like when I was pregnant, I was like, you know what? When I'm postpartum, I think I'm gonna totally nest with my baby and be okay with being alone, and because I'm an introvert myself, and it's never been a thing that I enjoyed in the past to join groups to talk about things. But honestly, I needed it so bad when I was postpartum to just vent about certain things and discuss challenges and just realize I'm not alone in that boat. A lot of other people are doing it. So I would recommend putting that on a list, even though you think of yourself as someone who might not be interested. This way it's there already and you take it or you leave it once you are postpartum. But at least you'll have done the research ahead of time. So once you've made your list, put it on your fridge so it's easy to consult after birth, and make sure your partner knows about it too so he can reach out to those resources and advocate for you if you're not in a good space to advocate for yourself. All right, those were my tips. If you appreciated this video, make sure you give it a like and let me know in the comments below what you are doing to best prepare for postpartum. Thanks for watching.